This was a terrible blunder, and it happened on the very first turn. I was playing as Japan on the Anniversary Edition 1942 setup, which meant that I had the very first turn of the game. I purchased 2 transport ships and placed them in Tokyo Bay alongside an existing transport ship. My strategy was to pump guys into China from Japan, expand up into the Soviet Union, and gradually make my way down to Calcutta. What could possibly go wrong?
A few moments later.
The bomber from Western United States will go 1, 2, 3, 4 and attack these transports with 2 movement left over.
Never mind. Ended up losing that game. This is another massive blunder on my part, and it's pretty embarrassing. But sometimes you've got to try something new. Push the boat out, you know? In this case, I literally pushed the boat out, and well, here's the clip. 2 infantry in the Solomon Islands will board the transport in Sea Zone 46, move into Sea Zone 51, and amphibious assault the Caroline Islands. Supporting the attack will be the 2 fighters on the aircraft carrier in Sea Zone 46, 1 battleship, 1 cruiser in Sea Zone 46, and the battleship in Sea Zone 56. Because why not? Let's go for an overkill. And that is both combat moves. Let's resolve 1 cruiser and 2 battleships to bombard. Should be enough, hopefully. With the cruiser, we have the 2 battleships. We have 2 hits. Returning fire. Japanese infantry with a miss. Unlucky man. So that's combat. Now non-combat. The carrier will move into Sea Zone 51, along with the submarine from Sea Zone 46, and the fighters will land on the carrier. Sea Zone 56, 2 destroyers will join the fleet here. And that concludes the end of round 3. Next up, the Japanese.
A few moments later.
And now the big battle here in Season 51. This bomber from French Indochina Thailand is going to move 1, 2 and 3. The other 2 bombers in Manchuria are going to move 1, 2 and 3. Also these 3 bombers are going to be left with 3 movements left in their gaskins. Okay, this 2 is for this carrier. This fighter is going to move 1 and 2, and this other fighter is also support attack 1 and 2. Okay, the carrier with 2 fighters is going to attack here, the destroyer, the battleship and the cruiser, everything to Season 51. Okay, and from Season 62, the battleship, the cruiser and the destroyer are going to move 1 and 2 and also make an attack in Season 51.
The battle went about as well as you'd expect. I got absolutely slaughtered. But at least the enemy fleet suffered heavy casualties. Oh, wait, no they didn't. They only lost 2 units. So I lost 2 battleships, a carrier with 2 fighters, a cruiser, 2 destroyers and a submarine, in exchange for damaging his battleships twice and him taking 2 fighters. That's 108 IPCs of losses to his 20. Ouch.
Really should have saw that coming. Soon to be Private Clegg.
I know what you're thinking. You're thinking,
What the hell were you thinking?
believe it or not, I actually had a plan. I was expecting to be attacked, and I was expecting to lose. I had the false hope that he'd also suffer heavy losses, and only have a smallish navy left over which I could then mop up in a counter-attack. I purchased a few submarines and bombers the same turn, and I was thinking we'd both ultimately lose the bulk of our main navies, so in a way it was a thought through plan. The only trouble was it wasn't a very well thought through plan. Yeah, in hindsight this was a terrible idea and I deserved the humiliating defeat. To add salt in the already salty wound, this happened in my round 4 turn, and in round 5 I tried to be aggressive against Germany and bombed Germany with 4 bombers, but that failed miserably too, as 3 of them were shot down by the AA fire. Not my finest game, and needless to say, it was a game I ended up losing. This is a game I played with my buddy in person, so I haven't got any footage, unfortunately, but I'll recreate the scene. Playing as Germany, I came up with a cunning plan to sink the Royal Navy. I deliberately left 2 submarines and a destroyer exposed in the hope that the UK would find them an irresistibly juicy target. I had my whole air force of 5 fighters and 2 bombers land within range of that sea zone, although I scattered them around in Europe so that it wasn't immediately obvious. That same turn I purchased a submarine in the Baltic Sea, ready to join in the counterattack. All that was left was for the British to take the bait. And they did. The Royal Navy destroyed the bait with great success, and I pretended to be upset at the loss of my feeble Kriegsmarine, but deep down I could barely contain my excitement. It felt like it took forever, but finally it came around to Germany's next turn, and I launched my attack. 5 fighters, 2 bombers, and a submarine against an aircraft carrier with 2 fighters, a cruiser and 2 destroyers. The operation had a 90% chance of success, and if I could eliminate the Royal Navy, it would put the UK out of the game for a long time, allowing me to turn my attention east. In the first round of combat, I rolled for my submarine, 5 fighters, and 2 bombers, and scored 2 hits. 2 hits. The Royal Navy returned fire and scored 5 freaking hits. So I had lost a submarine and 4 fighters in exchange for 2 destroyers. Now at this point I should have retreated, but for some reason I was compelled to press on for another round. Another very stupid decision in hindsight. I scored 2 more hits. The Royal Navy returned fire and landed every single hit. Second round casualties, 2 bombers and a fighter for a cruiser and damaging his carrier. Looking at the aftermath of this battle still leaves me scratching my head. How could this be possible? Just how? I mean, look at it.
How could this happen to me? I'm sick of this life. I just want to scream. How could this happen to me?
This last one is pretty brutal too. I was already losing this game and decided to launch an all-out last-ditch attack on France. It was a big battle and I had brought in my whole air force, 4 fighters and 5 bombers. Now we were fighting for France, so you'll have to excuse my French in this clip. First of all, fire for the AA guns, so first of all going after the 4 fighters, I'm going to roll 4 dice and really probably going to come down to these AA rolls. So let's start with the fighters. Oh, you're kidding me. 2 hits. Okay, 2 fighters out. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a disastrous start. It is 5 bombers, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see. What in the actual actual
Mad.
4 hits. Well, I need a miracle now. Was that really 4 hits, dude?
Walk out the door, you see someone that you know, and they ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Lucking hell. That's 6 out of 9 total aircraft shot down by 1 AA gun. And obviously, I lost that game too. So those are my favourite worst Axis and Allies moments so far. Stay tuned for many more to come. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I've been able to convert some of my pain and shame into a few giggles.
Not so fast, Sauvage. You may have taken me, but you'll never take England. Not as long as I have breath in my body or a bullet in my gun.